Up, guys? Welcome to another Chat with Will episode. I got the usual main host here, Mr. Dr. Edwin Adams. He's been an awesome human being. He's a pharmacist by trade, but is just a plethora of knowledge and inspiration of all things leadership and growth and helping people really step into their best selves as well. And I'm super excited about this chat today that's going to be revolved around overcoming our anxiety about the future. I know there's so much craziness going on in the world, and we're not quite sure where it's going to end up at this point. But and there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress going around. So during this chat, I hope to give you guys tips and tools to help overcome this anxiety over the future and actually be able to set goals for our future that help us step into a more passionate and more purposeful life. Because I know just how I was a few years ago, and many of us today, we kind of feel lost. We're kind of just struggling with anxiety and this constant mental chatter of kind of bringing us down, and not sure, almost scared of what's going to end up in the future, and a lot of BS that's holding us back in the past. And my intention with this chat is just to help you guys develop a system and to develop some really good ideas to help you set goals for your future to really walk into the life that you intend to walk into, and to find that passion and to find that purpose. And I got a whole lot of tricks and tips for that, because that's something that I've been really diving my life into for the past 3 years, when I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago that I was in a really low place. I was lost. I was struggling with so much mental health issues. I was struggling with a lot of physical health issues where I couldn't find my purpose. I couldn't find my passion. I was really just stuck in my own head and in my own pain. And I really was just scared of where my future was going. And I wasn't sure. I just felt out of control. And then I started really changing everything that I was doing, picking up a lot of habits, and I started just learning and studying and connecting with as many smart people as I possibly can, to figuring out, how can I feel really good? And, how can I actually step into the life that I intend to and that I want to live? And how can I create a life of passion and a life of purpose? Because when we're connected to our passion and when we're connected to our purposes, when we're really going to be performing at our most optimal level and feeling our greatest and living our greatest life. But connecting with our passion and connecting with our purpose is not easy. It's not like we just wake up in the morning and and we know our passion and we know our purpose. Like, that's something that is a skill that we have to develop, and it's something that is really deep inside of us that we have to practice to connect to. So I'm really excited for this conversation. I know that was a super long intro, but I'm excited for this conversation to be able to share ideas and to not only spread some positivity and to spread some knowledge and some tips for you guys, but I'm here to learn as well. My goal is to learn as much as I can from connecting with you guys on how I can help more and how I can serve more, because that's my passion and that's my purpose, to become the best version of myself, to help others and help this world become the best version of ourselves. So if at any time you have any questions, comments, or anything like that, I know the chat box is open, and you guys can come with any questions you may have about anything revolving around living your greatest life. And if it's health, fitness, breathing, permaculture, growing foods, or anything like that. How does that work, Edwin, if they want to add into some comments or some questions?
Yeah, the best way to ask a question is to use that Q&A feature down at the bottom of your screen. If you're with us live, if you're watching one of the replays on any of Will's social media outlets, just simply leave a comment. Will is meticulous about going and checking those comments, and we want to reply back to you. So please, This is a continual dialogue, either live or through these replays. So we'd love some engagement here.
Absolutely. Like, we are learning so much from your comments and your questions, because, I can only teach from my experience, but I have to also experience your guys' feedback as well, so I can continually to improve my processes of how I can serve more. Like I said, my main intention is to serve and to help and to bring up us as a species and as a humanity. And, I believe that we can do this by sharing our thoughts and sharing our insights, and learning how to use our different perspectives of our experiences in order to broaden our own perspective.
Yeah. Will, I'm seeing some common friends that we have here that are here every week. Braden, thank you for being here.
What's up,
Joe,
guys?
Nick, Stewart, Jenny, thank y'all for being here. This is awesome to have you guys here. So, Will, I know when you posed this question to me, what are we going to talk about? And we went back and forth, and I think just from our respective circles of influence, we are seeing a feeling kind of running amongst the people that we're in communion with. And a lot of people are anxious about stuff they cannot control. So I guess I want to start the conversation by asking you a simple question. Is fear real? So I want to give you some context there. The fear that we feel in America today, let's just use that context with media controlled narratives, and a lot of negative talk. Is the fear we feel real?
I believe it's going to be as real as we make it, and it's going to be as powerful as the energy we give it and the energy we feed it, and I think that's why it's extremely important to be meticulous and extremely mindful of what we are consuming and what type of energy that we are surrounding ourselves with. Like I spend a lot of attention going out of my way to make sure I'm not consuming the news and I'm not consuming the TV, because that is what is not real. I don't believe what's on the news. I don't believe what's in the newspaper. That's a whole other topic right there. But I believe that if you want to really live the life that you want to live, you have to first clarify what is the life that you want to live. And if you don't clarify your intention and clarify what you're really wanting to get out of it, and you just have that idle thought, that's when these outside circumstances are going to take control over your thoughts and your being and your energy and push you way, just like a wave. But if you don't take control and build a foundation over your beliefs and your values and what's important to you and what you're truly trying to accomplish, then all these negative energies in our environment will push us left and right and will stir up these certain emotions that really just limit us from feeling our best and doing our best. But if we can just block out all the stuff that we have no control over and focus on what we do control, and that is what we think, feel, and do, I think we'll be a lot more successful and we'll feel a lot better. And that's what's going to help us overcome that anxiety, because so much of anxiety comes from just focusing on things that we have no control over. And worrying and feeling anxious about this is only feeding that fear and feeding that energy. So we want to really starve that out by just not giving it the attention, not giving it the energy, and being able to direct our energy towards the things that really matter to us. And I think that comes from clarification.
Yeah, wow, that was a great way to start the conversation about clarity and energy. From a biologic standpoint, if we look at it just from the medical field perspective, fear is nothing more than an energy created from a stimulus. And usually,
which is usually our thought.
That's correct. It can be internal or external, but I think if you look at our upbringing as humans, our lineage, fear was very real when a saber-toothed tiger was chasing after you, or something that was going to cease your existence on the planet created fear. So it has a useful purpose, but I think we live, believe it or not, in a relatively safe environment these days.
Yeah, unless you're watching the news, like if you get off the news, you realize like we're safer than we've really ever been in our lives. Like we're not having to literally fight for our lives every day, the health is there, the wealth is there. We just have to align ourselves with it and go get it.
Well, I think that is where we allow fear to take over and fail to realize that it's nothing more than an energy created from a stimulus. If we pause for just a minute and think about, is that real or not? And I guess that was the reason for the first question, because, Will, if I asked you right now to close your eyes, and I told you to envision yourself on a surfboard out in the ocean, and you're having a great time, and imagine seeing that fin come up out of the water toward you, and you know that's a shark, and you know you're a long ways from the shore, and he's getting closer and closer, and you can't get away fast enough. You can imagine that experience, right?
Yeah, yeah, you can feel that, you
You
know?
can feel it, but you know what? It's not real. So what's amazing about the brain and its perception of fear is that it does not know whether it's imagined or if it's real until we give the value to the stimulus. So you can sit there and make yourself get upset and make yourself fearful or not. I mean, if
Yeah,
that's an internal stimulus creating the outcome of fear, guess what? You are actually in control. Either
yeah,
cut off the stimulus or change the energy. And I know our friend Tony Robbins is a professional at changing the energy of a crowd. That's what we're talking about here. Change the energy, right?
yeah, 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 for sure. And it's like where we put our focus and our attention is where we put our energy 100%, you know? And I think it's, you know, extremely powerful to just understand that and to see that of like our perspective is what's making us our reality, you know? And, you know, and a lot of us struggle because it's a skill to be able to think the thoughts that we want to think and to live the life that we want to live, because it's so easy for the, you know, wind or the waves or the energy around us to be pushing us in all these different directions. And that's why we have to take the time daily to sharpen our own saw and to build our own mental strength and our own ability to overcome the energies around us, but to be in charge of our own energy. And that doesn't happen by accident. Like we have to actually take the time out of our day to connect with ourselves and connect with our energy to be able to direct our energy instead of just waking up and reacting to everything that comes at us throughout the day.
Yeah, and Joe, I see your question. I promise I'm going to get to it. But the loop, let's talk about that for just a minute. Will the loop that our brain can go into in response to fear? Because I think because of our personal and individual experiences, we put meaning on feeling, and feelings are nothing more than the ramifications of a past experience. So if we are continually applying the meaning to a feeling, we're living in the past. I think
Yeah.
you might have read that in a book recently.
Yeah.
So just as we change the energy level in order to get out of fear, we also have to stop living in the past and apply new meaning moving forward, right? I mean, is that what you got from that chapter of an amazing book?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, 100%. For those of you guys who don't know, the book that we actually both happen to be reading at this point is Becoming Superhuman, or no, Becoming
Supernatural.
Supernatural by Joe Dispenza, which we highly recommend. It's a really awesome book to show us how much power we really have over our own selves and our own lives and our own destiny and our own future. And, you know, I think a lot of it is just, like Edwin said, is getting out of that loop, because we, you know, become these, you know, just in and out of the same loop of these routines of, you know, like the same things, activating the same emotions that we almost become addicted to. And then we're just living off these programs of the past. And that's why it's so hard to create new habits and to create a new life, because of these past emotions are just stuck in there and we're just reliving it over and over and over, even if we don't understand that what stresses us out about Becky sitting next to us is actually an emotion that's been stored since we were 14 years old, you know. And that's why it's important to be able to connect with that and to, you know, just stop and like cut out all of the distractions and to be able to connect with what does come up and let it come up and let it go, you know. And that's why I think it's really important to have a daily practice of being able to sit down in that cross-legged position, in that meditation, or out to a park and just cutting out the distractions and just connecting within. Let what comes up come up, let it go and let it free, and to be able to learn from that and understand that of whatever is coming up, that's, you know, a part of you that you're wanting to let go and you're wanting to learn from. And you have to let that go to be able to be in that present moment. But the beautiful thing is if you sit with yourself long enough without any distractions, all of that stuff that comes up, well, eventually it's already came up, it's already gone, it's already go. You're already so familiar with that and you already understand that. That's when you're able to dip into that present moment and then really start creating that passionate, purposeful life that you really intending to. But first, we have to be able to, understand and connect with whatever is holding us back of fear, or whatever is holding us back to really, like, why don't you feel as good as you want to feel? Because you're in control, so what is stopping you from waking up and having the best day you've ever had in your life? And most of the time it's some, I don't want to say excuse, because these are real reasons inside our head of this is holding us back or this is holding us back. And that's just our obstacle to notice and overcome and to learn from. And that's how we're going to step into our best selves and our best life, is to overcome whatever these situations are. It's like that saying, like that Joe Dispenza said, what if the worst thing that happens to you is actually the best thing that's ever happened to you? And, I can understand that from my own experience, my own life, is my most awful times in my whole entire life, where I was in the most miserable, hardest situations of my life, is what built the strength and the fortitude and the understanding and the insights that give me my best attributes.
Yeah. I think you were, wow. If we just look at your most recent injury, for instance, you were compelled to pause. I mean, you had to go deep because you were gifted with the time to do so. I think a lot of us have those instances that come across in our life pathway that compel us to stop and think into why I feel the way I feel. And I guarantee you 100% of the time, it is a connection to a past experience that is a program you're running again. And until you sit through a meditative process or a becoming present process and think into the why behind it, you're going to run that circle for the rest of your life. And I think the distance between where you are and where you want to be, that's that gap in between, that time in between where you are and where you want to be, is going to get longer. I mean, I would argue that if we are to close the gap and approach purpose and passion, we've got to look less at scarcity and more at abundance. I think Joe kind of alluded to that in his book a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing I want to point on to that is, like, those stored emotions and those stored things that just keep us into that loop. We have an amazing tool within every single one of us that's for free, that we're able to get that going and get that out. And that's our breath. That's why there's been so, like, people who've suffered from serious trauma, they're putting them through these different breathing techniques, this sort of deep breathing, like the Wim Hof Method, to get those stored chemicals and those stored energies of those past emotions up and get that energy moving and get that energy flowing. It's kind of like, like a dam that's stopping this energy from flowing and getting that water into the next, ecosystem, and to really connect with our breath. And that's why the Wim Hof breathing was so powerful for me, because it was able to stir up all that energy from the past so I can release it. And that's why big, deep belly breathing through our stomach can help take, or because all of those energies from those negative emotions get stored in our survival centers, which is, like our pelvis region, our lower stomach, and our gut. And that's those three energy systems that store in all of those negative emotions. And when you're breathing in as deep as you possibly can through your stomach, you're getting that energy flowing, and you're breaking that energy up, almost like breaking up a knot with foam rolling, and you're able to bring that energy up and release it. So then you're able to really create your purpose and really create your passion. And throughout that process, you're connecting with what you're passionate about, what your purpose is, and I believe that, if you're confused on what your purpose is and what your passion is, a little trick is find what pisses you off. You know, like what do you feel like your whole life has led up to? Like, what skills did it give you? But first we have to understand what those things were, and you know, what are the insights and the understandings that we got from those experiences. And what makes, you know, another way to find our passion is what makes us jump with joy and just feeling that immense energy and that immense emotion of positivity. And then on the same side of what really upsets us and what really pisses us off, and us to put our actions towards just feeling those things and healing from those things, and to work towards improving those things is a good way to find our passion. Like if there's something that really pisses you off in the world that you feel like that can improve, or that you feel like needs to be changed of some way that you've been done wrong, maybe that's your purpose, and maybe that's your passion that's going to keep you motivated and inspired to wake up every day and feel like you're working towards that purpose and you're working towards that passion. You know,
Yeah.
but I think it's really important to connect. We have to stop and we have to connect. You know, like when I was going through this, I guess, self-rehabilitation process of going from my worst mental and physical health to my best mental and physical health, I was spending 30 minutes to an hour every single day minimum breathing and connecting with myself, and trying to consciously and intentionally connect one with my strengths. You know, because I was learning that those worst times in my life that built up these negative emotions, that's what gave me my strengths and my weaknesses, as well as my parents too, which were connected to my worst times in my life, you know. But we have to connect, like a beautiful practice that I highly recommend every single one of us doing every morning and every night before going to bed, is stop and think of 3 of your strengths. Okay. If you want to talk about connecting with your purpose and connecting your passion, you first have to understand what you're really good at. Okay. What were you just born naturally talented at? You know, if that's some sort of communication, some sort of caring, some sort of loving, some sort of, I don't know what it is for you, but you may not know either. And that's why it takes that practice of every single morning and every single evening of just spending 3 to 5 minutes searching through your brain and searching through your body to understand what are you innately good at. Okay. And then another thing is, what are you really good at because you've built along the way for your experiences in your hard times. Connect with your strengths of what you were born with, what you've built through your life experiences, and then just one more thing of what you know that you're good at deep down inside. You may not know why, but it takes time of unveiling that wrapping of, you know, getting down to the depth of what we're really good at. And during that process of being more mindful and more aware, we're also going to start noticing what our weaknesses are and what those things that are holding back. And the more that we can connect to our strengths, then we can start to develop those strengths. And then when we direct and devote those developed strengths towards some sort of purpose or mission or cause that we really feel connected to, if it's making us happy or making us upset, when we can devote those things towards the things that we obviously truly care about because it's making our emotions turn, you know, that's when we're going to feel that strength of purpose, that strength of inspiration and that passion, because there's something deep down inside that almost our whole life has aligned us to overcoming this and working towards that passion, and that's our purpose. But it takes time of connecting with ourselves and our strengths and our weaknesses to connect to our purpose.
Well, I think you've hit on a really critical point there, Will. If we are in an energy level of wanting, meaning that we see the distance between where we are and what we want to achieve, if we see that gap as what I lack, I think it's real easy to stay in that negative energy level, that scarcity mindset that makes us want to be small and protected. We want our comfort zone to be walled off with concrete and steel so that nothing can take that away, because man, that's a long journey between where I am and where I want to go. Whereas I think what you're talking about, if you free up that energy that's stuck in those cycles down in those energy centers, if we can get that energy flowing fully, we have a different thought, we have a different focus, we have a different energy state. And I think lack turns into abundance, and you become the creative being that is going to create the next step with your giftedness, your strengths, and step you forward into purpose and passion. You're going to find those on the journey, not before. So you really have to have a different energy flow from lack to abundance.
Yeah, for sure. But I also think just creating that vision of where you want to see yourself, stop and take 10, 30, 60 minutes and start visioning if your life was best case scenario. If everything went as exactly as you wanted to and exactly as you dreamed of, where would you be in 10 years? Where would you be in 5 years? And then you have to and that's what's going to see, and highlight that lack, right? Of like, okay, this is where I want to be, and this is where I'm at, and this is where I'm at. So that's why it's good to understand like what's stopping me from being there, and then putting in those action steps of like just taking action on what that is. And in that moment of what you're doing, the actions to get to where you want to be, you can't be still feeling that feeling of lack. You have to be feeling that feeling of you already got it. You're already there and you're making that happen. You're not waking up every day thinking like, oh, I'm running from fear because, this is what I'm missing and this is what I got. But you got to wake up every day of like, look, this is the life that I'm creating. And these are the strengths and the gifts and the tools that I have to get me there. And these are, say, the weaknesses that I have to overcome that I'm working on every single day to, as I'm stepping into that, I'm better than my past. I'm stronger than my past. And that's what's making me overcome and step into my best, most purposeful life.
Yeah. So I think this is a great segue into action steps, Will. I think we've identified probably the first one is whatever think and feel loop that you're running in your head. That's the first step. You need to analyze that. That if you think, yes, I would like to write a book, and then the feeling you get is, oh no, but what will everybody say? That should be your first sign that you're in a loop. You've thought something, fear has cropped up, it's lacking in its integrity, it's attached to something in your past. There's your sign that you have a loop to break first.
Yeah.
Would you think that's a great first step?
Yeah, 100%. I think, if you're struggling with fear, because there's going to be people in two different places. There's going to be people who are ready to create. They're just not sure how to. And then there's people who want to create, but they're being held back by just lack of clarity or, or too much fear. So if when you're going and you're noticing that you're still in that feeling of lack and something that's holding you back, go back to step one, and that's connect and vision, and that's connected with yourself. Find where that fear is coming from, and then learn how to bring that into a strength, overcome your weakness, and visualize what you're truly wanting to create. And once you're past that fear and understand your strengths, then it's time to take action. And most likely, if you're struggling with anxiety, it's because you're not being in that moment, taking enough action. You're sitting and thinking instead of doing and doing, right? So just now that you've visualized what it takes to go from A to B, all you can focus on is what you can control, and that's perfecting what you're thinking, perfecting what you're feeling by that daily practice of feeling that empowerment and feeling those feelings that you want to feel and that you want to step into, and and clarifying that, but then just taking those actions every single day of shortening that gap from where you are and from where you want to be. And the only thing you could do is just give your absolute best and give your absolute being in every little thing that you're doing, and if you wake up and if you do that day in and day out, waking up and connecting to the future feelings that you want to feel and to the future self and the future being and the, all of your intentions, if you can connect to your intentions in the life that you're wanting to do, and then just taking those action steps and just devoting your 100% being in all that you're doing, that's going to keep pushing you forward towards that goal.
Yeah, some of the best self-help books that I've ever read talk about exactly that, Will, overcoming the resistance that's in front of you. And that resistance, I would argue, is that thinking feeling loop that you're playing in your head. So once you overcome that and realize the attachment to the past, you can now visioneer for the future, which is also what you said. So I think those steps 1 and 2 kind of interplay with each other about stopping the loop, visioneering what you truly want, and then we can start some mindful practices that start freeing up some energy. And we've covered that a lot on this show, Will. I think breathing is probably the best one that you've introduced me to. For instance, well, let me ask you this, Will. When was the last time you felt fear? That you thought it was real fear?
Ooh, last Saturday at practice, I was actually at the track I was at the track where I had that big crash and I was at that big injury, and it was really windy. It wasn't really the best riding conditions. I just felt out of my comfort zone for sure.
Wow.
And that
So
was
what did you
probably
do in response to that?
I'm sorry?
What did you do in response to that? You felt fear, and I know you were thinking to the crash, you were thinking backward,
Yeah.
you were playing a small loop in your head, but you didn't leave the track.
No, no, no. I mean, I focused on what I could control. I understood why I crashed and what I did that caused that crash, because I already did that connection and that visualization of connecting of why that happened. Of so much time I've spent trying to figure out why that happened, and I understand why that happened, so I know what not to do. So now I could just focus on what I can control, and that's just being in that present moment, doing the best I can, and understanding what my limits are at that point, and just being my best and being my smartest self in that time.
Yeah, so you broke the loop. Did you do any mindfulness or breath work there at the track to kind of recenter you at all?
Always. Like before every single training session, especially on a track that's as dangerous as that one, I walk to the little park that's right next to it, and I do 30 big of the biggest breaths I can, let it out, do max push-ups while holding my breath, and just connect to myself and connect to my movement and connect with, what I'm trying to do. And I set my intention of, I'm just kind of slowly getting back into it. So my intention was just to break through that comfort zone, and that kind of brings me back to the resistance of, what you talked about, the resistance. And when I think of resistance, I have the experience of weight training and lifting, and what I understand of what that resistance training does is it builds strength. So every time that you do feel that resistance and that fact of overcoming that resistance, that builds strength. Now you're getting stronger to overcome that same resistance. So for example, if you lift 20 pounds for 3-4 weeks, that 20 pounds is getting lighter and lighter and lighter. So then you're able to lift 30 pounds and you're able to lift 40 pounds, and that resistance, it could either one say, whoa, I'm not willing to push myself that hard. I'm not wanting to grow. Or you can step into that resistance that we're feeling and say, look, I'm just going to do the best I can against this resistance. And that's going to build that strength. So then next time I'm able to go a little further and do a little more and do a little more of just kind of dancing with that comfort zone or dancing with that resistance is what builds that strength.
Yeah, I firmly agree that resistance is not all a bad thing at all. That's a shift in perspective. Either resistance is holding you back, or resistance is the path to growth.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
a lot
exactly.
of
A lot of time it's the spotlight of hey, if this is what you're intending, where there may be a little resistance in you or in your environment, that's your opportunity to learn from that and to push yourself and to grow from that and to strengthen yourself from that, to really step into your best self and accomplish whatever goal that is for you.
Yeah, that is two different. Those are polar think feel loops. You can think resistance is a barrier. I must not approach it. It's going to be painful. That is a lacking think feeling loop. Or you can see the thought, the obstacle is the way, to take Ryan Holiday's words, and go through resistance into growth. And I'm going to feel better and in abundance. Those are two loops, totally two different perspectives.
Yeah,
You get to choose which one you want.
exactly. Because I think you choosing which two loops that you're going to go is the difference in you accomplishing the life that you want to live, or you just being beat down by your external circumstances, for sure. But like I said, it's not easy. We're not saying that it's easy to choose, just because we're telling you that you have the option and you can choose. We're not telling you that it's easy to choose. But what we are telling you is the more you choose right, the more strength you build to keep choosing right.
Exactly. Perception is everything. So our friend Joe has asked this question early on in the discussion about exercise as a form of dealing with stress or even fear. I know you probably have some strong opinions on that.
Yeah. So that could go either two ways, actually, because it it's a way to build that strength within yourself of that exercise of pushing yourself, and that's going to make you mentally stronger and mentally healthier, as well as physically stronger and physically healthier. But you want to make sure that it's not a way of just masking what you're trying to mask, but you're actually using the exercise to build the strength to overcome what you went through, to receive your greatest gifts. And that is, usually the hardest things that you went through gives you the greatest gifts to step into that purposeful, passionate life and accomplish your best goals. But that's why the weight training and his resistance training and just exercise in general is a great opportunity to build our strength and to build our ability to overcome that resistance. But if you're finding comfort in that, maybe it's your way of masking that. So that's something that you have to, connect with yourself to understand. So that's why whatever comes up and whatever's bothering you, sit with it, understand it, observe it. Try not to attach to it or attach any sort of feeling, but just let it speak whatever it's trying to speak to you. And then you can use the exercise to overcome that and to build that strength. But yeah, so those are the two ways that you can go about that. And I think it's important to be aware of where you are with it.
Do you think we are too often uncomfortable with being uncomfortable, so we avoid it? So I'm just not going to go there, Will. I'm not going to reflect back on that. It's too painful, so I'm just going to leave it alone. Is that a good strategy?
I think we know the answer, but I think no, it's not a good strategy. But you can do that if you want to avoid and just live an easy life that you don't really get any good fruits, and you don't really get what you're truly trying to accomplish. But to face that is where all the fruits are, and that's where all of the goals and the purpose and the passion, that's where it is to be able to look at that head on and to learn from that, because somewhere inside of that is where you got your greatest strengths from. Somewhere inside of that is where you get your deepest insights and your deepest understanding and your best strengths, and you can build upon your weaknesses, and that whole beauty of what you can really step into your most passionate, purposeful life is somewhere in there, and understanding that and pulling out the gifts that is within that, pulling out the strengths that is within that, to then devote those strengths towards the things that you really care about.
Yeah. So help me with this, Will. And I do want to put it in the context of fitness and nutrition here for just a minute, because I know you, having been a personal trainer in the past, you were not only trying to help build people's bodies, but along the process, I'm sure you came face to face with some of the mental struggles people have in stepping forward through a transformation, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, because that's what got me, I'm sure, into lifting, is because I was struggling with my own mental things, and I see my mom struggling so much with her health and, her mindset and her being. And then that's that's how I found the gym of wow, this is a way to better myself. This is a way to make myself healthier. This is a way to make myself stronger, which made me feel a little bit good mentally, or a little bit better mentally. But then, and that's why I became a trainer at the time as well, because it's who doesn't want to be healthier? Who doesn't want to be better looking? Because that's going to make us all just feel a little bit better. We can obviously take that too far to an extreme, which I think I did that a few times. But that's why the beautiful thing about health and exercise and fitness is, it gets the ball rolling. It builds some momentum. It gets the things, falling in the right place, because when you take care of your health physically, you start feeling better mentally, because it's 100% connected. If you're feeling bad physically, if you're feeling sick, or, these negative emotions physically, that's going to affect you mentally. So just doing things that make you feel good and have more energy, like physical exercise, it's going to improve your mental well-being as well, because they're so connected and they're so interrelated. The healthier you are physically, the stronger you're going to be mentally.
Yeah, and I guess maybe it's easier for us to see the physical milestones of a transformation like that that lead to momentum. But I guess my curiosity then, what is the resistance that holds people back from being persevering through that process of transformation, and why do people fall off so quickly? What's the mental game at play? What loop is coming into play there that 30 days after New Year starts, people are already off their diets and back into the old habits? It can't be about the 6 or 12-week program. People are missing something in this resistance fight or this resistance battle.
I mean, I'm sure it's different for every single person, but from my experience of what I see is a lot of people are kind of just in this fixed mindset of like, okay, I did this for a week, I did this for 2 weeks, and I'm not there yet. It's not working. It's just not for me. I can't live this life. Like, I'm just stuck to being, sick and upset and miserable, instead of having a growth mindset of like, look, 30 days is just a trial, and 30 days is just a trial to, get a little bit further. If you fail a couple days, it doesn't mean that you're failing and you might as well just give up because you haven't, accomplished your whole goal in 30 days. But it's an opportunity to learn from that failings and to build upon your successes, and then to do a little bit better the next month. So I think it's just a change of thought of going from, look, you're not going to wake up one day and all your problems are gone away. It doesn't matter how strong and how perfect you do everything. Problems are still going to come up, but those things that are still coming up is this constant infinite game of growth, of this infinite game of everything that's coming at you is an opportunity to overcome and to adapt and to overcome that resistance and to grow and to evolve, to keep becoming better and better and better. You're not going to wake up one day and be exactly where you want to be, but you kind of walk up one step of that ladder at a time, and there's going to be times where you fall down 3 or 4 steps. You stop and you take note of, why'd you fall? Did you lose focus, or what happened? And then take your next 8-10 steps and keep building on that and keep building on that. And every success is an opportunity to learn, just like every failure is. So I think it's, like the biggest factor I see is people not seeing, the whole 80, 90, 100 years that they have here is just a game where you're sitting here playing in the waves of all these things that come at you, to overcoming those things and to learning from each circumstance that comes up. Of it's an infinite game, of learning and overcoming. It's not like, oh, I failed this week, so I'm just a failure, I'm not going to do it anymore. Just keep doing the best you can every single day, review what's working, and keep pivoting.
Yeah, 2 great books that I think speak to exactly what you're talking about are Simon Sinek's new book, The Infinite Game, and then John Maxwell's book, Failing Forward. Those 2 books.
I love that book by Simon. I haven't read the one by Maxwell yet, but I'm sure it's fantastic as well. I actually gave the book from Simon to my business partner, actually,
Oh, nice.
To try to get him in the same thinking of like, look, it's not just about this sale or this month, but it's about, hey, let's build this thing with purpose, with passion, everything that we're talking about to today. And to build a thing with purpose and passion is every day is training day, and that's something that I learned from my big brother as well, is every day is just training to overcome the things that we're meant to overcome, that we're overcoming in this moment. And like I said, those challenges and those problems and those failures are the way. If you're failing, that doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. That usually means that you're challenging yourself in the right areas.
Yeah, I've heard this message so much lately, Will, where be it the obstacle is the way, or I was watching The Mandalorian on Disney Channel. Amazing, amazing Star Wars freak I am. But the mantra of the Mandalorians are this is the way.
Yeah.
And it's usually a difficult road ahead of them, and they step forward with their armor on and everything ready to go into battle. And I think that's a great mantra.
Yeah.
I think that that would help people in these transformational experiences in their life, be it in their body, their mind, or their spirit, if they remember a mantra, something to remind them that their gaze should be forward, not in the loop of thought feeling connected to the past. Because failure, I was scared of failure, for example. So one thing I was just terrified of growing up, because I thought my love from my parents was in direct correlation to my performance in school. So if I did not make perfect grades, I was not loved. And there was a feedback loop there. I was rewarded for good grades, and then I was punished for bad grades. So that was a irrational relationship then, that I connected love to my value. And man, that came back and bit me on the butt when I entered college, and I wasn't quite as prepared as I should be. Failure came and stared me in the face and said, now what are you going to do? The challenge just got greater, and you are not capable of performing at the same level you're used to. What are you going to do, big man? Well, I cowered at first and got really scared of failure, going, wow. But if I had not had failure, that experience of failure, I don't know if I would have stepped forward.
Yeah.
I think I would have been a victim rather than a victor. And it there was just that breaking of the loop. And John Maxwell's book Failing Forward helped me see the value in failure versus the judgment of failure. And
Yeah.
that was the split in the fork in the road for me in my success pathway.
Yeah. I think one of the best advices I could give is find what scares you. At the same time, find what makes you jump with joy. You have to be mindful and aware of those things that turn up those emotions, that get you going, if it's one way or the other. What is making those emotions turn, if it's anger, frustration, or if it's joy and love. And you have to step into that full with everything you got in both of those, and that's how you're going to live this fulfilling life of where it's absolutely amazing and gratifying, by stepping into what scares you as well as stepping into what makes you extremely happy and extremely joyful. And most likely, if you just keep doing that and keep doing that, you're going to end up pretty close to where you want to be, and that's why, like I said, one of the best advices is just being aware and being mindful of what is turning those emotions, and face it head on, and it might be scary. It might be, out of your comfort zone, but that's where all the fruits lie.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is
Exactly.
the way.
Exactly.
I love
Like,
it.
like almost search it out. Search what makes you feel really good. Search what scares you, and go full throttle for both.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Will, we've covered a lot here. Are there any other strategies that you think are valuable in combating fear? We've talked about visualization, breaking the loop, some about exercise, breathing. What else do you have in your armamentarium to combat?
Um, like one is just notice, like, how, like kind of you said, how real is the fear? Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, you're afraid of failing. How you mentioned it before. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Okay, you fail, and
You're not going to die.
yeah, like, you're not gonna die. You're not gonna get bitten by a tiger. Like, it's okay. Like if it's not gonna cause you or your family physical harm, and the fear is just this external of what people will think about you. I think that's something to, who cares? Because that's just, again, focusing on the stuff that you can't control. But then again, that's like, if you're feeling that real fear of something that you don't have control over, that's something inside that you got to work through. And that's bringing it back to step number one again.
Yeah, you got
Right?
to break the loop.
Yeah, and breaking the loop. So I'll give you my best advice on what I use to break that loop. Okay. And what I did was I woke up every single morning and I did that inner work, and I set an intention before every one of those sessions to understand, to dive deep into understanding myself better. Because if I had an intention to help other people, I couldn't help anybody else unless I first helped myself. Right. And I couldn't help anybody else unless I understood them. But I couldn't understand anybody else until I understood myself. So I first just took that time. I set the timer for 15 minutes, which eventually went to 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and 30 minutes because I kept wanting to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And I just connected with my breath and just put all my focus and all my energy into breathing in as deep as I can through my stomach and doing those rounds of Wim Hof breathing. If you don't know what Wim Hof breathing is, I have a bunch of videos. YouTube has a ton. Search it. Like if you're struggling with fear, connect to this Wim Hof breathing and you'll get that out. You'll figure out what's causing that fear, and then take a sketchbook and start reading and writing your insights of what are the things that are holding you back, and connecting with your breath, and start writing where you're wanting to go, what's holding you back, what you have to overcome that, and just clarify everything that you're trying to do. And I think that's the best step, is take time every day to connect with yourself, and then literally write, like during those rounds of breathing, you're gonna have stuff come up of why you're feeling fear, what's causing that limitation, what is bringing those bars that you can break through, and then write that down of what you want to do to break through those limitations, and write down exactly what the life is that you want to live. And writing it down just makes it that much more powerful. And then just every day stepping into that reality that you want to create.
Yeah, there's something about the way the human hand and a pen interact with paper. That visual and tactile experience is really powerful in the brain. And I've also found another process, Will, that helps is you get a pair of scissors. Once you write the loop, the thought feeling loop that you have that you're stuck on, if you write that on a piece of paper and then go physically cut it or even burn it. I've seen some spiritual ceremonies where you get the thought out of your head and on paper, and then you burn it and you leave the ashes on the field. You leave it on the field and let it go.
Somebody actually gave me some advice like that this weekend. It was actually at the race when I was feeling, or at the track where I was feeling a little bit of fear. So the person who runs that track now is actually an absolute legend in the sport, is one of the most all-time decorated professional BMX racers in the history of the sport, literally. And he runs Sarasota BMX now. And I think somebody asked me how I'm feeling out there, and I said, well, feeling a little bit cautious, you know what I mean? Just trying to take my time with it. And then that's when he stopped and said, look, why you crashed. You already did that. Write that down, crumple that up and throw it away and get it over with. And, just go out there and be in that moment, do what you got to do. And, and that was an awesome, just moment for me to look, this is what I'm preaching all the time, practice what I preach. It's my turn just to, exactly what he said. Because I spent that time, I did that time understanding what held me back. And now it's just time to step into my best self and step into that moment and to start building upon the resistance and the fear in front of me.
Oh, that's awesome. John, thank you for the comment. He says, thank you for your enthusiastic approach, Will. This is better than he expected. So good job.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. That's one thing I keep hearing over and over through all these talks is my enthusiasm. And it's and I think that's one thing that has probably been commented about more than anything else is my enthusiasm. And I think that's because I'm aligned with my passion. I'm aligned with my purpose, because I spent over a year, I want to say years, of doing this deep inner work of trying to figure out what I truly care about, what are my strengths, and what is my purpose. And I truly feel like it is my strength to be here in front of you guys, to teaching you guys from my experience, and to, hopefully taking the insights that I got and sharing these insights. this is my strength, and this is my purpose, and this is my passion. And when you are aligned with all of that, and I have this vision, and I have this goal, and this intention on what I'm trying to accomplish with all of this, of bringing this world up, and bringing this community and each one of us up as individuals, I think that enthusiasm is just going to be naturally showing. It may not be as externalized as my extroverted personality, but I think that passion will show, and that enthusiasm and that energy will show. And yeah, like you said, energy is contagious. When you become your best self and you feel like you're raising your energy and you're raising your vibration, that's the best thing that you could do for the people around you, because then it's going to have the people around you say, whoa, why does he feel so good? Why is he so happy? How can I feel that way? And I think that's when we're going to feel that strong purpose and that strong joy within ourselves, is when it's about more than just ourselves. It's about bringing up the ones around us. And I think that's how to really feel our best and to really accomplish our goals, is to take our strengths and to take our energy and devote it towards the people around us, because that is true power. That is how we can overcome the force and step into the power of really our power to overcome our resistance, is because, it's more about than just us, because we can only accomplish so much by ourselves. To truly accomplish anything, it takes a team, it takes a group, it takes a tribe of multiple energies connected in one, devoted towards one sort of mission or cause or purpose. And I think by you don't have control over the people around you in any way other than you raising your energy and that energy being contagious.
Yeah. Will, thank you for all that. I think that's phenomenal advice. And the only thing that I have left in the armamentarium to add to that, which you just said so beautifully, is your environment that you put yourself in has a direct impact on whether fear is grown or whether fear is diminished. And I think we do have to pay attention to not only where we put our 2 feet on the ground and what that environment looks like, but more importantly, the people that we surround ourselves with, because as you so beautifully said just a minute ago, energy is shareable. We either emit it or receive it, and we're doing both a large portion of the day, but we have a chance to receive good energy over bad energy. And sometimes that is a painful experience, to get the scissors out and cut people out of your circle of influence because they are not providing a higher value contribution to your growth and development. They're actually energy suckers. And
Yeah.
and you may not need that.
I think once you clarify your values and where you're trying to go, then it's going to clarify who are the people and things and actions that you need to cut out, and who are the people, things, and actions that you need to double down on, And I think that's really important. I remember there was a time in my life, like most of us, where we don't really have control over our environment, right? And our environment was not necessarily positive. Everything around me was negative, and in the ego and in the bringing other people down and in this competition. And that's when I dove myself into 2 things. One is my internal environment. I just dove into my breath and my meditation, because that is the environment that you do have control over. And I just, and it doesn't matter what's going on in your external environment, you can go into your room and turn the lights off and sit in a cross-legged position and just breathe and start cleaning house in the internal environment of what's going on. And then 2 is books. Is like, look, if we become an average of the top 5 people that we surround ourselves with, and the people around me weren't necessarily anyone or anybody that I wanted to be or become, I started finding, and I think Oprah did something very similar when she was in a really, really bad childhood as well. She dove into books because it was her way of escaping her external environment, and I think that's why books are absolutely beautiful, because we can download it's like we can download all of this new software into all of our brains and all of our bodies of whatever programs we want to do. If we want to learn more about finance, love, meditation, compassion, or, nature, environment, whatever you want to learn, there's people who have devoted their whole lives studying to it and writing books about it. and there's some of the most interesting people in the world that we can learn from. And, that's why for me, books were a time, it was like a meeting, like every single day of like, okay, I want to, change my external environment. I had to first change my internal environment, but I had to learn from people who were doing it right. So I thought of me reading every day was like a meeting with Napoleon Hill, a meeting with Ray Dalio. And that's how I took it. Okay, I have my meeting from, 8:30 to 9 o'clock with Ray Dalio today, where I would sit down and I would open my book and I would just pick his brain of Ray Dalio. And, if for those of you guys don't know Ray Dalio, he's like the best investor, I think, in history. Just killed it with investing. But I probably learned more from him than almost anybody else besides my brother, but I learned nothing on investing. I just learned of these principles of life and understanding how to connect with our values. But that's just one example, and you could do the same thing with a Napoleon Hill, with Buddha, with Jesus, with monks, with whatever you want to learn. You can sit down and have a meeting with them by just stopping and opening up a book, and now I'm having a meeting with a Buddhist monk just to teach me about meditation, and how I can use meditation to really create the life that I want to live and step into my purpose and connect to my strengths and connect to my weaknesses. That's something that I learned from this book. I honestly just picked up the first book that was on the top, but mindfulness in plain English, this was one of the things that taught me what comes up is there's a lesson in there. Whatever's coming up, if it's negative, especially if it's negative, there's a lesson in there that I haven't learned yet, okay? And if it keeps coming up, that's the universe keep trying to give you this lesson that you're just too hard-headed to learn, So just surrender to it a little bit. Try to understand what the lesson is that uncomfortable feeling is giving you. Overcome, adapt, build that strength, and step into your best self, baby.
I love it, Will. I think that is one of the greatest resistances that we face, is that we are constantly striving to be something or someone. We never surrender to our authenticity, and leave the past on the playing field. And I think that's a great.
I think instead of trying to think about striving to become something different, I think we have to practice to become what we want, right? So every moment, like if you want to feel joy, you have to sit down and practice feeling joy, right? Like if you want to become, healthier, pain-free, or live this life without stress and worry, you have to sit down and practice feeling what that feels like in every single moment. And that's how to become that, not just hoping that it's going to come by some event in the future, because that's not how it works. We have to literally use each moment to practice feeling what we want to feel and being what we want to be and creating everything that we want to create.
Awesome. Any questions from the group? I know we've been talking a long time and the Q&A is empty and the chat is silent. If there's something that you would like to ask about fear, anxiety, other strategies that you can use today, you don't have to wait on anything or anybody. You don't have to learn anything new. You just have to go do based on some great strategies that Will and I have shared with you. Any questions? Yeah,
if you guys have any questions at all, just put it in the comments, because that's what we're here for, to share insights and to share ideas, so the more, ask something specifically, like, questions are one of the best ways to clarify. Okay. And that's something I learned from, what's his name? The 4-Hour Work Week.
Tim Ferriss.
Tim Ferriss. Yeah. Tim Ferriss, like, he's really specific on the questions he asks, be really, what do you want to accomplish? How do you get there? Like clarifying what you want to accomplish and then asking the question, what do I need to do to get there? Questions are the best way to clarify not only what you want, but how to get there. And especially if you have, people, like, we're here for that, for you guys to ask questions. And, I'm learning from your questions. I'm constantly asking questions myself of, what are the things that you feel are holding you back and why,
Yeah. I want to share with you the 10 questions I go through every morning, Will. And
please do. I like that.
See how these resonate with you. So this is my morning mindset practice. So the first question is, One thing I can get excited about today.
I like that.
Just one thing. Number two, if one word could describe the kind of person I want to be today, then what word is that and why did I choose it?
What word was that today?
Authentic.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right, go on.
And
Number three.
the why for saying authentic was because it's less energy draining wearing a mask. Just
Yeah.
I
That's
can't
super
give
fun.
all of who I am if I'm wearing a mask. Number three, someone who needs me on my A game today. Guess who that was? I don't know if you can see that.
Me?
Will Grant.
Hey,
Will
you know
Grant.
I need it on the A game. That's awesome.
Number four, a situation that might stress me out or trip me up today could be um, whatever. And then the way my best self would deal with that is what.
Oh,
So
that's good.
what I think is going to trip me up today because I'm having some arthritis pain in my hand was I think exercise is going to trip me up. I'm going to get thrown off normal. And the way that my best self would handle that is just do it. So number five,
Overcome. Build
someone
that
I could
resistance.
say that again.
I said overcome and overcoming that a resistance.
Yeah, there you go. Number
Yo, but
five.
after this conversation, I'm going to give you a few tips on your arthritis in your hand too.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you. I need that. Number five, someone I could surprise today with a note, gift, or sign of appreciation. Number six, one action I could take today to demonstrate excellence or real value. Number seven, one thing I could do today that is a little outside of my comfort zone is to what? Number,
I'm curious what that was.
partner with Will on another project.
All right. Nice.
If I was a high performance coach looking at my life from a high level, I would tell myself to remember what? Number nine, the big projects I have to
Go
keep.
back. I want to know what your higher self told yourself.
So what my high performance coach told me this morning was you are your best self right now.
Money.
There's no more wanting. You're your best self right now. Number nine, the big projects I have to keep in mind that I want to take on, even if I can't act on them today, is what? And then lastly, I would know that today was a great success if at the end of the day I did, said, or felt this. So.
Dude, those are awesome, and those are really awesome tools to get you in the right intention, to get you in the right mode, in the right zone to have a freaking awesome day, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's all abundance questions that makes you think what's possible, what's hopeful, what is probable based on the work that I do. And at night, there's six questions just to kind of sum up the day and reflect on the day so that I can prep while I'm dreaming so that when I wake up and do these 10 questions again, they're just going to get better and better and better over time.
Do you want to share those six questions too?
Absolutely.
Hey, and while he's sharing that, guys, put in any questions you may have about your journey and yourself of what you feel like can help you guys step into your most purposeful, passionate life. So leave those in the comments below and we'll do our best to answer them.
So the first question in the evening is a moment that I really enjoyed today. A moment that I really appreciated today was what? Number two, a situation or task I handled well today was what? Something I realized or learned today was blank. Number four, I could have made today even better if I blank. Number five, something that could have helped me feel more connected to others today would have been to do what? And then lastly, if I was my own high performance coach, I would tell myself this statement about today.
That's awesome. That's really good stuff. See, so what Edwin is doing here is like he's using questions to literally align him with the reality that he's wanting to create. And, I think that's an extremely important factor. You don't have to have the same questions, but it's good to ask yourself some questions. Like I asked, what are the three things that I'm going to do today to get myself forward towards the goals that I'm trying to go towards, as well as what are the things that I'm grateful for and what are the intentions of everything that I'm doing today. So I'll go through those three things and I will ask, okay, why am I doing this? What am I trying to get out of that? And for example, I can, just read one today. So like the first part of my day, I like to spend evolving. It's some sort of breath practice. I'm breathing, I'm moving. I'm reading, I'm meditating. And then I wrote, I'm just grateful for another day to get better and to improve myself. And then my intention or my purpose of doing that, I say, my mission is to become the best version of myself to contribute to this world to my fullest potential. And what that does is it just aligns me with what I'm trying to do, because without an intention and without a purpose, those energies and waves through the world are going to be pushing us out of a line of our true intention. So to keep aligning ourselves back with what we're truly trying to accomplish is the way to create the reality that we're really wanting to create.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, we've stimulated some questions, Will. One of our listeners is asking, I want to be my authentic self, but I know the way I'm going will hurt people I care about. I want to know how you would overcome fear of hurting someone that you care about.
Well, I think there's short term and there's long term on that. Like a lot of times people are reliant on us to be who we've always been, and we want to evolve to become something better. And the people around us are reliant on who we were, but who we were, it seems to be helping their needs in that certain moment, but it's not helping their long-term growth. The best way to help out the people around you is to take care of yourself first. 100%. You have to become the best version of yourself first. It's like getting on an airplane that I say all the time. Before you put on the mask of your own children, you must first put on your own mask to make sure you're safe. And that's going to have you thinking better, having your energy well to help out anybody else. You are little to no help to anybody else around you until you first put yourself and your intentions first, okay? And if they're reliant on who you were, that's not helping them in the long run. You have to become who you're trying to be. And that's what's going to, energy is contagious. And that's what's going to make them raise their level, because a lot of times, like, people are needing you to take care of them, but it's just inhibiting them from their growth because they're reliant on you in that way. So to pull back, focus on you, that's going to put them out of their comfort zone to have to grow, to have to evolve, and give them a little bit of resistance. And then you can do your best on helping them, but the best way you're going to help all the people around you is by first taking care of yourself and evolving yourself to the greatest of your ability.
Yeah, that was beautiful, Will. I mean, this is a perfect example of resistance, right? I mean,
Yeah.
They're experiencing
That loop.
And they're hesitant. They are held back from their fullest value contribution because of a resistance caused by another individual. Yeah, that's an energy sucking experience right there. And unfortunately, those hard cuts must occur because the energy drain on your authenticity is going to make the space between where you are and who you want to become in an authentic way. It's going to make that space much wider and more lacking.
And you or we becoming our most authentic selves and our best selves is the best way to help out those people. If you're holding yourself back from becoming more authentic for them, I think that's just a corsage if you're not really helping them. Really step into your authentic self, and that's really the real genuine way to help somebody.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Beautiful. Best wishes. Let us know how that process is going. Please come back in the weeks to come and let us know how you're doing. Another question from our friend Stuart. Let's see, you have a short mobility practice that you perform every morning. It has links to what looks like yoga. How does this allow you to center yourself for your day? So that's question number one. And he's saying, I tend to use yoga practice as a calming process as opposed to being super energy giving. So it's interesting twist on the use. I guess yoga has a variety of uses, right?
Yeah. Yoga's pretty amazing, you know, because it does connect and align you with, you know, everything of you, you know, because you're adding in the breath, you're adding in the movement, and you're focusing on just being present and being aware with how you're devoting your energy. And I think that is extremely aligning in itself, you know. And I kind of do the same thing too, as far as like using it to almost calm myself, because a lot of us think that when our energy's high and we're busy and we're frantically moving, that, you know, like on 10 cups of coffee, and that's when we're going to be doing good. But that's just when we're just going to be doing more of the stuff that doesn't really turn the needle, so to speak. But to be calm and to be collected and to really be present and aware of what are the things to almost do less that are really going to turn the needle can be extremely beneficial. And that's where that morning breath and movement practice that, you know, is a lot like yoga, and what I've learned a lot of those movements from yoga from is extremely beneficial of, you know, just connecting with myself, connecting with, you know, how I'm feeling that day, and learning how to move that energy from how I'm feeling to how I want to feel.
Yeah, there's some great books on how this energy flows through our body, and if you get it moving through
Yeah.
yoga practices, meditative practices, whatever, that is an energy that you will receive back.
Yeah.
So
You
it's
know, and that's
also,
something that I should have mentioned, because that's kind of one of my biggest reasons of doing it too, is that energy flowing, you know, like when you wake up, like you have all these ones, or you know, these things and intentions that you're trying to accomplish, but you may just not have that energy flowing yet. Once you get that blood flow going and that movement going, movement is such a beautiful practice because it gets that energy turned up and going, and then you can direct that towards the things you care about. So that's like one of the best things about that morning movement practice, or that morning yoga practice, is it's getting that energy flowing. It's getting that energy going. It's not like an increase of energy, like this hyper energy, but it's just that creative. It's that creative energy to be able to create the reality that you're intending to.
Will, we have a question in the chat. I'm not sure I completely understand it, but our friend John is saying, he's gone back to his gym, but he's afraid they don't have much business. It is a fear, but he can't control it. And he clarifies that it's really outside of him. There's a lack of participants to keep the gym open. Too many people are afraid to come back now. How would you help John cope with that fear?
Yeah, focus on what you can control. So one, like if you want to support this gym that you obviously feel very connected to their mission and their purpose, so focus on what you can control. You sitting in fear of like, oh man, it might close down, it's not helping them, it's not helping you, it's just hurt, you know, it's not helping. So what can you do is go in that gym and enjoy your time there, maybe post a picture of you being in there, like showing other people how, you know, safe or enjoyable or beneficial it is to be in that gym by, you know, posting a photo, or, you know, it doesn't have to be you or a selfie, or just of the gym saying, taking care of my health today, or, you know, doing something that feels good today. Do something that just makes the gym, like, why are you going there? You know, and, you know, that's the beautiful thing about Facebook, is we're able to broadcast our own microphone, or, you know, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and social media, is we're able to, you know, inspire the people who are following us, if that's 20 people, 100 people, or 1,000 people. And from your insights, there's obviously something that makes you keep going to that gym. It's some sort of purpose or mission or person that's there, that's making you feel good, that makes you want to keep coming back. What is that? Connect to that and share that.
Yeah, talk about what good is happening in the gym. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure we can point out all the negativity. Everybody's telling us what's negative. Flip the narrative. Talk about what positive gains are happening in the gym
Yeah,
right
you know, and the best customers to any business is the customers that they're already having. So just by you being in that gym, being in a good mood, not being fearful, but being in a high vibrational state, is going to make the other people in that gym more feeling good about being there. Because, you know, nothing is more miserable than being in a gym where everyone's looking down upon you, and, you know, everyone's in there for themselves, and it's more of a competition, unless that's what you're trying to do, you know. But raise your energy and raise your vibration in that gym. Be grateful to be in that gym and to improve your health in there. And that's going to help the other people in there improve their time. And then maybe they're going to be telling their friends and posting their pictures as well.
Yeah, it can be a call to action. Let's save the gym. Help them clean the gym. Make it a safer place for people.
And that's and this obviously seems something that you're connected to. And that sounds like that's connected to your purpose and your passion of something about this gym, so the more, and that's making you feel your emotions. So connect with that, face that, and do what you can to improve it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great question, John. Let us know how your actions for change make a difference over this next week until we.
What I like about John's question, Edwin, is that it was very specific.
Yeah.
And the more specific of the questions that we ask, the more specific our answers will get. So that's why it's extremely important to not just say, oh, I want to get better. How do you want to get better? Okay, I want to be better for the people around me. Okay, how do you want to get better for the people around you? And just keep being as specific as possible. And the more specific you can be with the questions that you ask yourself and the questions that you ask other people, the clearer answers you're going to get.
Yeah, the best question you can ask is why? Why are you afraid that the gym is going to close? Well, because it's a place I like to go. Why do you like to go there? Keep asking yourself why until you're standing on a firm foundation of the answer. And I think that's your compass direction.
Yeah, that's your compass direction to find your purpose and passion.
There you go. There you go. Great questions, guys. Will, how did the challenge go last week? I know you laid the gauntlet out last week and challenged people to perform a certain way, and you were going to reward them. How'd the challenge go?
Actually, I didn't see anybody on there.
What happened, Will?
Yeah. I we set out that challenge, because I know that we gave out the course the week before because we had Carrie in there just doing awesome stuff. But yeah, I didn't see anyone taking real action, I didn't see anybody in that group. I mean, if I missed it, put in the comments below or reach out to me and say, hey, I stood up to the challenge and I didn't see any, hey, I didn't see anything. So that's why a lot of times by you stepping out front and stepping into that challenge, you'll be the only one. So you'll start out ahead. Yeah. Somebody could have got a free course if they just would have made any sort of attention or made any sort of effort to put into it, because most people are not going to be doing the right things. Most people are not going to be separating themselves to actually putting that action and that intention in there. So when you do day after day after day, you'll end up getting a lot further than you ever could have imagined just by that consistency. So yeah, so let's do it again this week. And like I said, in even the week before, I'm pretty sure Carrie was the only one. She did an amazing job. I think she was doing it every day, multiple times a day of, stepping up to that challenge. And she got the free course and she's in there. She's enjoying it. She's getting a lot out of it, which is super exciting for us and her. But yeah, a lot of times if you just make that effort, you could be the only one. And then you're standing apart. And then all of a sudden you're leading the pack.
So how about this week? Will the challenge be posting up overcoming resistance?
No, I got one. Okay. I want you guys to, if it's a journal or a sketchbook or a notebook, a piece of paper is good, but I think a sketchbook is better because you can keep coming back to it and keep creating and building upon it. I want to see some insights inside your notebook, some visions of you creating the reality that you want to create. Set out your intentions. If it's daily, I recommend doing it daily, and post a picture of that and send it to that Will Grant group on Facebook. And yeah, get in on there and post a picture of what you're writing down. I'm actually going to do it when I get off too, is I'll send you a picture of exactly my intentions of this chat and everything that I'm doing to show you guys. And I want you guys to start writing and creating the future that you want. And as specific as you can be, the better. Where do you want to be in 5 to 10 years? Who do you want to be in 10 years? What kind of, feelings and emotions and being do you want to walk into in that 10 years? And write that down. write that down and start to clarify those steps, ask those questions, just put that pen to paper, take a quick little snapshot of it and post it in that group and just say how it's working for you and what your intentions are with it. And I'm going to pick one person to give away my free Happy, Healthy, Strong course.
Brilliant. I cannot wait to see those in the group. And, you know, everybody needs to know you're back on Instagram, right? The Will Grant.
Yeah, I'm back on Instagram. Unfortunately, I couldn't retrieve my old account, but that's okay. Things happen for a reason. I believe it. We're here back with thewillgrant.com. So go give me a follow on Instagram, you know, because I'm putting out content on that thing pretty much every single day, not only on the post, but inside the stories of showing the insights of my day, of the stuff that I'm using that helps me feel really good and evolve into my best self. So make sure to follow me on Instagram and yeah, post the pictures on Instagram. If you're on the group on Facebook and if you're posting stuff on your story and tagging me, that's really the best way to win. You know, get my attention. Get my attention through the groups. Get my attention through, you know, posting on the Instagram and tagging me. And I'm going to pick one person who I really feel like is putting in the most effort and putting in the most intention, which you may be the only one. And I'm going to give you my free staple course, that 6-week course of Happy, Healthy, Strong.
Love it. Love it, Will. I love your post on Instagram. The quality just keeps getting better and better. Not of just visualizations, but the quality of the information you're putting out there matters to me. So thank you. Disrupt.
I'm learning. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, like, you know, like I'm learning and I'm sharing, you know, like there's something that I just read in that book from Joe Dispenza about becoming supernatural, about this walking meditation, right? You know, and before every chat that we're doing, you know, I actually set my attention. I go for a walk and just let everything come up and clarify. But so, you know, I've been doing some sort of walking meditation since we've been doing these chats, actually. But I was reading in the book of his specific way of really clarifying everything that I was doing, and with a little bit of a routine. And I did that this morning, and I did that yesterday as well. And I actually just posted something on my story of exactly how to do that, what to do, and you know what I'm feeling through that process. And like I said, I'm trying to learn something new every single day. You know, learn from, you know, the people that I'm helping and the people that I'm coaching, from just me pursuing my breath and my understanding and my movement. You know, and I'm learning every day, and I'm doing my best to share everything that I'm learning. And it's a really cool platform to do that and to learn from you guys as well. So post that stuff up, tag me on your stories. And that's the way to get my attention. And, you know, if you have any questions, you know, post that on your story and ask me, or just send me a message and I'm there for you. We're in this together.
Love it. Love it. Well, I'm going to go do my walking meditation this afternoon in my new Corsa racewear. So good job, dude.
Awesome. I like the shirt. Show the shorts too, man.
I don't know how I'm going to do that.
Oh, you can't. And look, we got some shorts on it too. Those are the shorts that I really wear in most of them, not all my videos, but most of my videos. Those are my gym shorts. I wear those lounging around the house. And that's with the company Corsa Racewear that I'm pretty deeply involved with now. So,
yeah, it's awesome. I can't wait to spread Corsa here in Louisiana for you, Will.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for being here. For the people who stayed with us the longest, we appreciate you so much. For everybody who joined, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you next week. Registration is open. You can go register anytime.
Yeah. And also, if you want to give us any recommendations of future topics, or maybe even people that you would want to see on this chat, you know, because we're going to start adding in more and more guests. I lost a lot of my pool from losing my Instagram, because I think when I had almost 100K, I could ask almost anybody on here and they'd say yes, but with only 600 followers, it's a little bit more difficult. But we're still trying, we're still tweeting them, we're still getting them. I still got a pretty good following on YouTube. So if there's any guests or topics that you want to see in the future, put those in the comments below and we'll do our best to cover the stuff, especially if we're seeing multiple of the same topic, or if the same guest. We'll do our best to, if we know about them, reach out to them. If we don't know about them, we'll do some research on them.
Yeah, love it. Will, this has been fantastic. Always a pleasure to be with you and share fellowship.
Yeah, I heard somebody say it was the best Zoom ever. That's super exciting.
Ah, thank you, John. You are our new hero.
Yeah, that's awesome, John. If you think this was the best one, I highly recommend checking out, because I think this is episode 14 or 15.
14.
Yeah, so this is episode 14. So we also have 13 previous episodes that go in depth about everything from breathing to movement to nutrition to growing some permaculture, growing food. So check out some previous episodes as well, and let me know your favorite one.
Awesome. Will, until next week. Peace out, brother.
Next Thursday, guys. I'll see you then.
All right. Bye, everybody.
All right, see you.